Dragon Age writer blames anti-fans for game failures while ignoring industry's role in massive flops. So I actually just covered another article, very similar to this, but this is different. This is a writer blaming the fans this time. This is new, guys. This is new. Trust me. David Geider, former lead writer on Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition, is drawing new attention for comments made in a recent Games Radar interview about so-called anti-fans. Uh-oh. So this guy, I don't actually know this guy, but apparently he was the lead writer for Origins, a game that I actually played and liked, and actually mentioned in my last video covering Dragon Age Inquisition drama. So this should be interesting. What does he have to say? In the piece, Geider criticizes what he calls anti-fans. Oh boy, here we go again. Blaming the fans, individuals who he claims actively work to see certain games fail as a form of punishment for creative decisions they disagree with. Then they turn from what you want. Then they turn from what you want. Oh, okay. Fans who will go out and spread word for your game and get people interested, Geider said. But if you get anti-fans, they sort of do the opposite. They're very determined suddenly to see your game fail as a sort of lesson to others who would make games of the same type. Interesting. So he's saying that, yes, there's good word of mouth, but there's also bad word of mouth. Crazy, I know. You make a good product and people say good things about it. You make a bad product and people say bad things about it. Is that the article? Is that Geider's whole point? That's crazy. This is a real human being who actually like accomplished real things saying this on the internet. All right, well, let's keep going. The comments come amid growing online discourse around titles like Dragon Age: The Veilguard and Concord, both which face extensive fan criticism over gameplay direction and perceived ideological messaging. Geider, who has not worked at BioWare since January 2016, did not contribute to the Veilguard, which was developed long after his departure. Honestly, he should have just stayed quiet. Why did he come out in defense of this shit? The game was released in October 2024 and met with divisive reception from longtime fans. Geider's BioWare tenure. For context, Geider was a key figure at BioWare during what many fans considered the studio's golden age. He was the lead writer on Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Aim, co-wrote Star Wars: The Old Knights of the Old Republic, and later helped craft the Dragon Age franchise. However, he left BioWare nearly a decade ago, shortly after the launch of Inquisition, citing burnout and creative differences. Okay, so there's a little history on him. After BioWare, Geider briefly joined Beamdog as a creative director before founding Summerfall Studios in 2019. There, he led development on Stray Dogs, the role-playing musical released in August 2023. Stray Gods, sorry. I have no idea what that is. Never even heard of it, gonna be honest. Never even heard of this game. But anyways, that's just a little history on where he is. Fandom, identity, and culture clash. In the interview, Geider went on to argue that fandoms have changed, becoming more entwined with personal identity and more hostile towards creative deviations. Oh, really? Is it that the fans have changed to be more hostile? Or is it that the developers have got more aggressive, right? With their insertion of woke identity politics in video games. What is it? Is it just a natural response to a corruption, to like a sickness, an illness, like an infection in video games? Is that just a natural response to that from people who are, you know, actual customers and consumers of video games? Or is it just that people are just more hostile now? Everyone's mean now. Well, that's what Geider thinks. Well, let's keep going. More and more fandoms are making the things that they're fans of integral to their identity, he said. And if it's integral to their identity, anything that affects it or insults it, insults them. Well, I mean, it's really not that complicated. There's the leftist identity politics, right? Which is what was shoved into Veilguard. And then there's everyone who's not an extreme leftist, which is probably a vast majority of the population. I mean, a lot of people are leftists, but to be that extreme, like the trans issue, it's not popular in the country. Like, there have been polls on this. It's not. Like, this is over. It's done. So yeah, you shove this into a video game and everyone's gonna hate it. Because that's reality. This isn't fucking Tumblr. This isn't Blue Sky. This is real life. Real customers with real money purchasing products. So yeah, you probably shouldn't shove leftist propaganda into your products. Crazy. He added that this evolution is making it harder for game developers to engage with the broader player base, as hostility often drowns out genuine criticism. This, in his view, has led to developers withdrawing from public forums to avoid culture war flare-ups. Well, withdrawing from public forums, I think that's just a nice way for him to cope and say that they're not going out belittling and antagonizing their fans as much anymore, because they realize that that's actually a bad thing to do. I think that's what he actually means when he says this. Guider's framing echoes arguments previously made by other developers attached to controversial or underperforming projects, where criticism from fans is redefined as targeted antagonism. Exactly. You make a shitty product, potential fans go, this is shit, this sucks. They tell their friends, hey, this is shit and this sucks. And then the developers go, no, you can't do that. That's targeted antagonism. Oh my God. That's what's happening here. But that argument falls apart when stacked against the performance of games like Dragon Age Veilguard. This wasn't a case of a small group of so-called anti-fans tanking a game out of spite. It was the broader gaming audience that turned away. From underwhelming preview reactions to low pre-order numbers and poor community sentiment, the signs of rejection were widespread and organic. Yeah, I mean, obviously. The game didn't fail because of targeted sabotage. It failed because the market responded honestly. When a title doesn't resonate with longtime fans or general players, it's not a conspiracy, it's a product problem. Blaming criticism rather than confronting creative missteps only widens the disconnect between developers and their audience. Yeah, this felt like, reading this is such a huge breath of fresh air. This is actually worded really well. I don't even want to add on to this. Because, yeah, I'm not even going to add on to this. I can't add on anything to this. This was actually really well said. Fallout from Veilguard and the bigger conversation. Guider's anti-fan remarks land in the middle of continued backlash over Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game widely seen as a departure from BioWare's traditional RPG design. Critics have pointed to simplified mechanics, lack of player agency, and story themes that many believe reflect broader industry trends prioritizing message over gameplay. Though Guider had no role in Veilguard, his commentary is being interpreted by some fans as a defense of a studio that may feel has lost its way. Yeah. Again, I don't know why he's coming to his defense, just flaming the potential fans, the potential customer, person who actually was interested, like me, myself. I was a fan of this franchise. I really liked Dragon Age Origins, and I still recommend it to this day. So yeah, it's sad. It's sad that this is what they resorted to. It's worth noting that in the same interview, despite all his talks about anti-fans, Guider admitted that had he stayed at BioWare, he would have likely left during early development of Dragon Age the Veilguard anyway, citing EA's push toward live service elements, which was ultimately abandoned after the failure of Anthem. Even if I had stayed, I would have left eventually. What a devil's contract that would have been, he told Games Radar. Final thoughts. While Guider's frustration with hostile online discourse surrounding Dragon Age and other titles may be understandable to some, his depiction of fans as anti-fans raises uncomfortable questions about how much responsibility developers bear for the reception their games receive. Yeah, this labeling people as anti-fans and saying that's why the game failed is the most retarded, dumb shit I've heard in a while. And that's why I'm so baffled that this is coming from like the creative lead of Dragon Age Origins, a game that I actually really liked. Like, the dissonance is just unreal. Anti-fans. Yeah. Positive word of mouth exists. Negative word of mouth exists. This is the internet. People say their opinions on the internet. And that's apparently just people being anti-fans, and that's why the game failed. No, just release a game that doesn't have a trans character talking about having a trans therapy session with their mom in a dark fantasy video game. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't have them talk about how when they misgender their party member, they get down and do push-ups as penance for their crime of misgendering them. Maybe don't put that in your dark fantasy game. It's not that complicated, man. Gamers are not a monolith, but dismissing a segment of the audience as saboteurs for expressing dissatisfaction with the game's direction may do more harm than good. No shit. You're just going to alienate more people, especially when faced with the objective reality of massive gaming flops. Yeah, at the end of the day, the game flopped. People didn't buy the game because people didn't want to buy the game. Make a game that people want to buy. It's really that simple. But these people are going to cope and do mental gymnastics however they can to justify their horrible decisions and horrible creative choices. As BioWare struggles to reclaim its once dominant reputation, perhaps listening rather than lecturing would be a better starting point. Yeah, perhaps it would be. Let's see. Oh, this is a brand new article, 0 comments, but yeah. I mean, this was pretty similar to the article yesterday, but this time we actually have someone who I used to respect, David Geider, saying some really dumb shit, blaming anti-fans, instead of saying that, oh, maybe we should have just made a product that didn't, alienate like 80% of the potential customers. Maybe we should have done that, but it is what it is. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'm a new channel, so subscriptions do go a long way. Man, thanks for watching. Peace.